Okay, so today we're going to be talking about tropes. I get a lot of comments on my videos talking about tropes that people like, don't like. Sometimes I also get questions associated with it. Why are tropes a negative thing? How do I avoid writing tropes, or just is it a bad thing that there are certain tropes that I like? I think that that's probably because we here on BookTube really love breaking down which tropes we love and which ones we hate. So I don't know. I figured we'd talk about it a bit. But before we get into all that, a shout out to today's sponsor, Squarespace. From websites to online stores to marketing tools to analytics, Squarespace is an all-in-one platform that helps you to build your website and grow your business. But we'll talk more about them at the end of the video. The word trope, like many words, holds multiple definitions, and depending on which area you step into, people will use it differently. But here on BookTube, Bookstagram, book blogging, reading communities tend to use the definition of a literary pattern that gets used often enough that readers obviously, clearly, and quickly recognize it and generally know what they're in for. This could be plot devices, characters, settings, themes. This could be pretty much any element of the story. Some examples could be the farmer boy who finds out that he's the chosen one and then goes off to save the day. The old wise mentor who helps the farmer boy learn his powers, learn his position, learn the magical world, and probably dies off after his work is done. The runaway princess, the single-minded revenge plot, the fake dating, miscommunication trope. There are so many. The question of the video is, why are tropes bad? And the answer is that they're not necessarily. They're not. Period. I don't want us readers talking about tropes constantly to make it seem like tropes are a negative thing or something to avoid. So in this video, we're going to chat about some great ways to use tropes, some important things about tropes. We're going to talk about some medium, intermediate aspects of tropes, and then we're also going to talk about the negative thing, what makes a trope a negative thing. So like I said, a trope is essentially, at least in this context of the word, a trope is essentially just a theme that comes up often enough in books that readers quickly and easily recognize it. This can be a really good thing. There are certain buzzwords, which is just a glorified way to say trope, that readers will hear and instantly want to pick up. I always love found family. Even if I don't like anything else about the book, I'm gonna like your found family if you have it in there. So anytime somebody recommends me a book and they say, hey, this has an amazing execution of the found family trope, I'm instantly gonna go check that book out. It's one of the things that I will always go for. That's my buzzword, but it's my trope that is a great identifier to make readers know if it's something that they want to read. Just the same, I really don't like the resurrection trope. I'm not saying that I always hate it. I've seen it done well, but that's very rare. Not everybody hates that. I do. So if I know that that's going to be a reoccurring theme in a series, that there's going to be a lot of resurrections throughout the books, I probably know to steer clear. This is a good thing because readers don't want to pick up books that they're not going to like, and generally, authors prefer to find the right readers. There are also certain genres that rely on tropes as their very definition. Time portal fantasy needs that trope to exist. And if someone writes a time portal fantasy that doesn't have the main element in it, the trope, this is bad. I once picked up a book that the description of the book said, it asked the question, can a guy and a girl be just friends? Some of you like to argue with me about this in the comments for some reason, but the answer is yes. But I was just excited for a book that just focused on two people being really good friends. Do you know that they ended up together in the end? It was a romance. Why'd you lie to me? That's kind of the opposite of what I'm talking about right now, but regardless, the point is, if a book promises a certain theme, a certain element, a certain trope, if you will, it should deliver that. And certain books rely on being that thing. The romance genre oftentimes relies on tropes that readers love. For instance, the bad boy trope, the boy next door, friends to lovers, fake dating. I already said that one. If someone is in the mood for a romance and they would like a certain type of romance book that they tend to enjoy, they're gonna look for books that deal in certain tropes and stay away from books that deal in other tropes. This helps readers to know what they're picking up is going to more likely be their taste, and it helps authors to not have unnecessarily bad reviews because readers were surprised at what was in there. Now, the middle ground of tropes, the intermediate, this is neither good nor bad, it's just the reality. Every single book has tropes in it. No book is wholly and completely brand new, never been seen before. Every book deals with tropes. Even books that started tropes, books that began certain trends, those books still have tropes in them that came before them. It's just how it is. The Wheel of Time series has The Chosen One, and it finds a fresh way to do it. Mistborn has the Dark Lord trope, as well as a band of thieves, heist, found family, the older, wiser mentor. Mistborn is loaded with tropes. Lies of Locke Lamora, a lot of the same tropes. Best Served Cold is the single-minded revenge plot trope. So well done. Ooh, another example of a book that played on a bunch of tropes and made it really unique for the story is Legendborn. Not only is it a retelling of King Arthur, but it has a lot of tropes in there, and some that I don't even like the love triangle, that the author executed so well that I'm actually pretty okay with hanging out with a trope that I don't enjoy because her fresh take on it was really fun to watch happen. All of our favorites have something that they built on. The thing though is, the fun thing about that is that authors get to choose what they're gonna do with it. Sure, Manza has a single-minded revenge plot, but Joe Abercrombie got to choose what her background was, what put her on this revenge plot, and what unique things about her personality that make that revenge plot either have barriers or have successes, and what about her makes her react to different situations differently. All books have tropes either as their baseline of their story or as certain elements within the story. And what the author does to them to make them unique to that author, unique to that story, unique to those characters, is what makes those books great. Everything that I just listed for you, all the books that I just listed, are all books that I really, really, really love. And I think that the authors pulled these tropes off really well. But I could also give you a dozen examples of tropes done really poorly, some within my favorite books. Now let's talk about the negative side of tropes. Other than just people's preferences, I don't like the resurrection trope. I don't enjoy most love triangles. Other than preferences between readers, which is a good thing that readers have preferences, because then tropes can be used as signifiers for readers to pick up or not pick up books and get the right books for them. Other than that, the negative side of tropes, or rather, the thing that makes a trope kind of shift into a cliche, is oftentimes authors or publishers will kind of jump on the bandwagon of a trope that's exploded. Take Twilight, for instance. Take The Hunger Games, for instance. A book has gotten a lot of notoriety, success, etc. And then a bunch of other books will be published within the next year or two span or more, where there's really very little variation. We're seeing the same story happen over and over again without very much uniqueness, and then readers will oftentimes get fatigued and get tired of just reading the same thing over and over again without that fresh, unique spin, without the thing that makes the book its own. Essentially, what makes a trope kind of shift into a cliche is when that trope isn't really expanded on very much. It's used, but it's used in its flattest, most basic form, and then we move on, as opposed to the book really taking that trope and building on it and creating from it. I'm at my in-laws, sorry for the background, but I just wanted to pop in to also mention that, like, it's okay for us to say, I'm tired of this trope, I've seen it enough recently, I'll avoid books with trope X. but I would argue that there's no such thing as an overdone or a dead trope. Keeping in mind that tropes are nothing but a foundation and that there's a million ways to build on it, and authors have so much opportunity with any trope. As far as themes and characters and settings and you name it, a trope isn't inherently dead outside of simply our preferences. I'm tired of reading something. So authors have a lot of opportunities with pretty much anything because it's nothing but a foundation on which to build. So we readers finding tropes in our stories are not a negative thing. Tropes in and of themselves are not bad. Like I said before, in certain genres like portal fantasy, like space operas, etc., having the trope and making it wildly different than the last isn't necessarily what is needed. Sometimes it's just about making the characters make this story unique, and sometimes it is about taking a basic trope and building on it to make that trope look different, or a subversion of the trope. There's lots of ways to do it well. Tropes inherently aren't bad. I think a lot of us know that, but I wanted to go ahead and do this little discussion because I see a lot of discussion around it, so I wanted to hang out and chat about it a little bit. So now that we've talked about tropes, the ad. I've just come up with the most brilliant idea in all of history that will help every reader focus on reading and get that TBR pile down. And now I need to create a website to help advertise it. First thing I'm going to do is catalog every single book in my TBR that I plan on reading. Then I'll mark which books are at the top of my TBR that I plan to read in the next month or so. And with Squarespace's powerful blogging tool, I can share stories, photos, videos, and updates on the progress that I'm making with these books. I can even categorize, share, and schedule my post to make my content work for me. Next comes the fun part, because everybody knows that you make a plan for what you want to read and when, and then you don't follow through. But with Squarespace's email campaigns, if you haven't updated your progress within the time frame that you set for yourself, I'll send out friendly reminders, knocking on your door, reminding you it's time to be reading and you're behind on your goal. Squarespace's all-in-one platform makes it easy to unify your brand voice from your homepage to your emails. And the best part about my business is if you keep ignoring those virtual knocks on your doors through the email, then we'll switch to a physical reminder with a real knock on your door. Friendly reminder telling you it's time to read.
Are you reading?
Yeah, I'm reading. See? I love it. It's such a good book.
Okay then. I'm watching you.
Don't you feel inspired? But this groundbreaking business couldn't even be possible without Squarespace. So head over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, use the link in my description to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Don't leave that business idea on the back burner. Make it happen with Squarespace. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me in this video. I hope you enjoyed the discussion. I would love to hear what you guys have to add on, what you guys think about different tropes. Which ones do you like? Which ones don't you like? What makes a trope work for you? What makes it fall flat for you? Shout out to these people who actually helped me create this video, helped me plan out this video. I post videos every Tuesday through Friday. I'll see you guys again soon.